Good God, this thing is heavy. All right, I'm doing it. So I hemmed and hawed about putting this intake on. I just decided I got it. I need to put it on. The thing's brand new. So I'm just gonna quit hemming and hawing about it and throw them on. Throw this thing on and be done with it. So I'm gonna start yanking this intake off real quick and getting this thing ready to go. Glued this thing's gonna be. Probably not very. Yeah, it's good. Good God, this thing is heavy. Jeez. I thought almost as bad as an FE manifold. Pretty clean. Looks great. I'll get a flashlight, peek into them ports and see if I can see a cylinder. See what the valves look like. I don't think this thing had very many miles on it, so let me get a flashlight. Ah, it's got a few more miles than I thought, but I don't know if you can see in there. It's got a little carbon buildup on the valves. Not god awful, but otherwise it looks pretty clean. Cam looks good. Little I can see of it anyway. So cool. I'll clean this up and get this thing ready for the manifold. These heads have these dowels, locating dowels in the front. Right here. I think I gotta grind those off from what I understand with this manifold I have. So I gotta look at that too, see what the deal is with that real quick. I'll just do a dry fit and see how it fits. All right, I ground those nubs off of there. I stuck my grinder in here. Clean this thing up real quick. Guess that officially makes it a race car. All right, it's been a couple days. Been a busy week this week. I just haven't had time to get to this thing, but I got the manifold and everything ready to go back on it. Went down and got a fitting at the hardware store so I could adapt the factory vacuum tree back onto it so I can hook all the lines up, and I got to figure all that stuff out. So yeah, I'm gonna button this thing up, get these intake gaskets. I got a nice set of Edelbrock gaskets here for it, ready to go on. Got some silicone, came with ARP intake bolts as well, so that's nice. So I'm gonna throw this thing on and get it one step closer to firing it up. All right, good enough. So I guess in here is a plate, a restrictor, if you will. And from the research that I've done, I guess what you do is the old timers used to, because these things are kind of known for getting hot, I guess. So there's a big hole in here. What they would do is restrict this hole down and close it off. And the old guys would solder a penny in there. So, but I guess there's a company, Classic Cougar parts or something like that, they make a new one, a replacement, and it's got just a little air bleed hole in it only. Supposedly that really fixes the heating issues with these things. So I'm probably going to order one of those and get that figured out as well. Inside the block looks really good. It looks really clean. There's no corrosion in there whatsoever, so I'm happy about that. If you can see it, that's the restrictor in there. I gotta pop that out of there. So now there's a bunch of crap in the trunk of this thing, so I gotta empty the trunk out, lay it all out on the ground, and figure out what is what. I have no idea how this thing goes back together. So you know, the vacuum lines and all that stuff, I'm just kind of guessing there. Kind of hook some of them up to that tree, but I got to figure all that out. And then lay everything out, get the brackets figured out. Hopefully I have all the bolts. Then I'll start buttoning this thing up, bolting it back together. It looks like everything's back there for the most part, but I guess we'll find out. I got the trunk all cleaned out of here. Things in good shape. Still got all the original matting and everything in it. It's all coming apart, of course, but yeah, look at that underneath. Just some light surface rust, but completely original. So that's cool. R12 air compressor. I'll have to change that out, get it converted. Got the condenser, everything's in here. Took everything inside, put it in the backyard, just some miscellaneous stuff left. It looks like everything is here. So I've got the old carburetor, won't need that anymore. AC brackets and whatnot, power steering. I gotta figure all this stuff out. Fuel pump, pulleys, the distributor, cap rotor, wires. He did mark some of it, the power steering stuff, some miscellaneous hardware I gotta figure out. I did convert the distributor to this electronic deal, so that'll be nice. Distributor's brand new. So the Protronics deal came with the coil 2. Radiator supports, the radiator's over there. I'm gonna have to get that done, figured out. But I got all the belts, I got all the hoses, I got all the AC hoses, everything looks like it's here. So Now I just got to figure out the wiring, what went where, and then figure out what I need and what I don't need. A lot of this stuff is not going to be used with the Holley carburetor. So I'm just kind of laying the wiring out, try to trace everything, see kind of what goes where. It's all pretty self-explanatory, but you know, I just got to figure out the order of how it goes. So, but thinking about water pump doesn't look too bad, but I'm thinking about changing it. I don't know. While I'm in here, it's kind of one of those things, so I might change that out. But so I'm going to be working on this, just trying to get things bolted back on and figured out and buttoned up and put back together again, and then I'll come back later and then I don't know when I'll get this thing running. It's got no exhaust on it, so I can fire it real quick just to make sure everything's working and got good oil pressure, all that good stuff, and then I'll figure out the exhaust later as far as what I'm going to do there. But so yeah, I'll bring you back once I kind of start getting some of this back together again. All right, I got a little progress done on this thing. I got all the brackets and everything figured out. Basically where everything goes. That all buttoned up. Distributor I just kind of threw in there for now. I still got to time it and all that. So I decided, I got online and that was a mistake. I ended up ordering a bunch of parts for this thing. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and do the water pump. I'm going to do the exhaust manifold gaskets. It's got the wrong spark plugs in it, so I got to do the spark plugs. And some other miscellaneous things. I did order an aluminum radiator for it as well. I'm waiting for that to show up. But yeah, everything went together pretty good. Everything's all here. I had a little bit of hardware missing, but I've got plenty of extra, so no big deal. And as far as what I ordered, I just got on Summit, and I got an aluminum water pump. I got this. It's been kind of fun learning. What I like to do is, if I'm not familiar with the vehicle, you know, like this Cougar and the Ford and the 351, the Windsor and all that, I'm not, or the Cleveland, I mean, I'm not really familiar with them. So I got online and did a bunch of research, and I like to find out what their faults are and what their problems are. So I did that, and then this was one key component to the cooling system. Apparently those things like to overheat because people put the wrong thermostats in them. And I'll explain that too. But so I got this block off plate, gasket, carburetor spacer, and stud kit. I didn't think the water pump came with gaskets, but it did. But I got a good Felpro. I got the right spark plugs for it, and I got exhaust manifold gaskets as well. And then the radiator, I ordered a nice aluminum one. So that'll be here Friday. Today is Wednesday. So that'll be in. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the water pump on and exhaust manifold gaskets and try to get some of this stuff done today as much as I can. So I think one of my problems is it's kind of one of those, I can't help myself. I have to order parts, and it's like, yeah, if I'm in here, I might as well do that. I might as well do this. You know, it turns into, oh, just get it running and driving. Don't worry about it, to, well, I'm in here, I might as well replace this or replace that. So it's kind of one of my problems, but my wife hates it because I end up ordering a bunch of parts I probably don't even really need. Like this water pump, I think is perfectly fine, but I kind of want to drive this thing for a little bit, I think, and enjoy it, take my time to paint it and all that good stuff. And so I might as well put a little bit of money into it. I don't mind doing it. I know the motor runs good, so. But let me get that thermostat in the block-off plate, and I'll explain that. So I guess one thing with these Clevelands is they're known for overheating. One of the big reasons is people usually put the wrong thermostats in. So they usually will end up putting in this style of thermostat. And apparently with these things, this is not correct. So I kind of pointed out earlier, this little brass plate in here. So what happens is when the thermostat is closed and it's cold, the water will circulate around through the heads repeatedly until it warms up. The thermostat that this uses, I don't have one in front of me, but I'll throw a picture up of it. What happens is when that thermostat opens and the bottom part of that thermostat comes down, it plugs this hole right here. It comes down, it plugs this hole, and then that forces the water to flow from the heads to the radiator. What happens is when you put in this style of thermostat, it's incorrect. So when this opens and this comes out and comes down, it doesn't block off this hole. So the water just continues to flow through the heads continuously and not go to the radiator properly. So I am going to run this thermostat. So what you do, what I ordered online, there's companies that make these billet aluminum block-off plates. Some people call them a bypass plate, whatever you want to call them. So what this does is effectively blocks off that hole completely, and then that will always force the water around through into the radiator no matter what. And then you can run a normal style thermostat like I just had. So supposedly this is a big fix for that problem, and then you can run whatever thermostat you want to run. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't need to worry about the water recirculating through the heads in this thing. I'm in Arizona. It's hot all the time anyway. So I'm not worried about, you know, very, very cold starts and whatnot with this thing at all. One of my biggest pet peeves, especially here in Arizona, is just overheating and stuff getting hot. I don't want it to get hot. And so after kind of learning that, I dove into it a little bit more. So that's why I got the aluminum water pump, to try to not only shed some weight on this thing, but just for the cooling. And it's supposed to be a little more high volume as well. Who knows? So we'll see. So I'm going to change the water pump out, put a nice aluminum one in. And again, I got a nice aluminum radiator coming for it. Large capacity deal. So that's where I'm at with that. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the exhaust manifold gaskets. I'm praying I can get the bolts out without them breaking off. And then while I got those off, I'll do the spark plugs and all that stuff at the same time. So, all right, went ahead and started with the water pump. Got that all bolted on, no problem. Everything went smooth, everything looked good, no broken bolts. Got the thermostat housing and the block-off plate thermostat and housing all back on it. So, everything looked good. Now I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get these exhaust manifold bolts loosened up. Get that done. All right, got it all back together again. All the water pumps on, all that's done. Got the exhaust manifold gaskets done. Spark plugs are all in it, both sides. Luckily all exhaust manifold bolts came out, no problem. Nice thing about being an Arizona car. No rust issues there, so. All right, it's all done, back together. So I'm waiting on the radiator. Today's Wednesday, I should have it Friday, hopefully. Maybe this weekend I can just do a quick fire on it. Again, I gotta do the exhaust, but no big deal. Oh, and I gotta order a battery tray. Battery tray's missing, so I gotta get that coming for it as well. But other than that, just some odds and ends, we're good to go. So I'll bring you back later with another update.